everyone, and welcome to this episode of Real PR with me, Fiona Scott. I hope you're having a really good week, day, month, whatever it is you're doing when you're watching this. Please feel free to comment below, and I will get to you and I will answer any of your comments. And yeah, you'll just get lots of insight because I'm joined by someone I've only met recently, but a very wonderful lady in business and life who is just going to inspire you. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Becky Wall, BEM.
Thanks for asking me, Fiona. It's a real privilege. How to introduce myself? Well, I'm a young businesswoman. I like to say young because I think I am still.
Definitely.
Who has been sort of guided I think, into my industry through lots of experience. I am a owner or co-owner and founder of a luxury mobile toilet company. And I also am the co-owner, but the managing director of Loo of the Year Awards. And you probably think, how did you get into an industry like that? Well, let's take the lid off it. Let's have a look. I came from a farming background, hence the cow behind me, if you can see it, where boys were very much the dominant characters. They were the ones that were educated. They were the ones that were told to go and get a job. We, as women, were sort of thought we would just marry farmers and that would be it. I kicked off against that and decided I wanted to do A-levels, but was quickly told I couldn't go to university. So I had to go and get a job. And I got a job in quite a male-dominated industry, which was auctioneering, but it learnt me a lot. And I went and joined the local rural youth movement, Young Farmers. And if you look at any of my posts, you'll see I'm still very involved with that because it's a fantastic movement for socializing, life skill building. And it was in that, and also while I was doing that I met my husband, Charles, who obviously is my business partner on everything we do. And whilst organising events for young farmers and our wedding, I decided to become an event manager. So in my event management role, I was hiring in quite a lot of toilets, or I was looking at venues, and I wasn't really pleased sometimes when I was hiring in toilets at the standard they were being offered to us, and ended up sometimes cleaning them or adding extras to make them better. So the niche of the luxury mobile toilet company, very top end, hadn't really been fulfilled, certainly not in our area. So we invested, quite a big investment, but 19 years on, we're still here. Got some fantastic clients, some personal ones that come back. They're like friends every time they have a celebration. Becky, you'll do the toilet. And then quite a lot of corporate ones and some really nice blue chip companies. And within that, we got nominated for Loo of the Year Awards in 2009. And we realized that this was a fantastic way of keeping up our standards because you have an independent inspection. But more than that, it kept us up to date with what was going on within the industry as well. But even more than that, if there can be, wow, what a marketing tool.
Yeah.
Got those awards out on the website, and straight away, award-winning toilets, people were looking for us. And some of our biggest clients came from that. So in 2021, I was offered the chance of purchasing Loo of the Year Awards. And we may talk about it a bit further later on. I'm very passionate about toilets. So I decided, yes, I wanted more people to get involved. I wanted the standards to rise around the country for us all. And we're talking about away from home toilets now, and obviously not the toilet in your house. And also I wanted to help raise the awareness for those that aren't so able-bodied and actually make sure that toilets were available, and when available, to a decent standard. So that's where I come from.
Okay, so I'm going to roll back a bit. So your luxury mobile toilet business, which you stealthily avoided mentioning, but I will, called a
Yes.
Plush Flush.
Of course, yes. I didn't do very good marketing there, did I?
What is, if someone books or invests in a Plush Flush, what do they get, Becky? What can they expect?
Well, we'd like to say that our mobile toilet trailers are very modern. So they're like walking into a cloakroom, but on wheels. So they come on a trailer with a chassis, but then we put a cover around so you can't see that bit of it. We have steps that go in, and we put trees at the bottom of the steps to make it a bit more pleasing. But then once you're in there, you have warm water, all your soaps and hand gels, everything to dry your hands. Obviously, good flushing toilets with toilet roll. Then my touches, which I've done in the whole 19 years we've been trading, is we have fresh flowers, usually lilies in the ladies, roses in the gents, and then a basket of amenities in the ladies. So in the ladies, there should be everything you might think of to need to freshen up in between events, especially if it's a wedding: spare tights, sanitary products, hairsprays, deodorants, little sewing kit. And then in the gents, we give them an eau de toilette and a deodorant so they too can have a freshen up. Don't think they'd appreciate tights, so I don't tend to put them in. But if they get
Mm,
if we get asked, no,
you would.
no judgment here.
And then Lou of the Year Awards. I mean, you know that I only became aware of it about a year ago because of
Yes.
who you've booked as a keynote speaker, who's one of my clients for your event in your 2024 event. So people might hear that phrase, Lou of the Year Award, and think it's a bit of a joke. And there is sort of a comic element around it, isn't there, Becky?
Yeah, I mean, of course it is. It's quirky because people, well, let's go back. I suppose from a young age, we aren't allowed to discuss about toilet habits, toilet matters. And it was always the sort of, I'm going to powder my nose. You never said, I'm going to go to the toilet.
Hmm.
And so then as soon as you start talking about something that's awarded around toilets, people think it's funny and it's quirky. And yes, it is. I mean, there's a lot of toilet humor: lift the lid, down the pan, all those sort of things. However, the serious part of it, Fiona, is that we've all got to do it. Every day we have to do it. And there are millions of pounds being spent on the NHS for bowel and bladder problems, especially, that are created from people not going to the toilet when they should be and as often as they should be, because the facilities, unfortunately, are either not there or they're not of a quality people feel they can use. So the Lou of the Year Awards, raising the standards, is to hopefully make that much more available to everybody. And I mean, urine and bladder is just one, and bowel is just one thing. If you talk to a lot of the help the aged people, a lot of those people are saying they're not going out because they can't plan their day around decent toilets. So that has then a knock-on effect to their mental health as well.
Mm.
So toilets are, though it's quirky and it's a bit of a joke, and we could talk about all those puns that go with it, the seriousness is actually quite frightening.
And the thing is, any of us can think of probably fairly recently times we've been to toilets that have been awful, awful.
Mm.
We've all got a story
Mm.
where we either won't go because it's so awful, or we go with real trepidation that we might get something, or, we've all got those stories, haven't we? And yet we don't tend to, Becky, praise, places where we go and the toilets are good.
No. But at the same time, Fiona, we don't tell the people that we go where the toilets are bad that they're bad, because we still think of it as a taboo
Mm.
subject. You know, I I remember as a child, my mum and dad taking us out for a ride because we never had holidays because being on a farm. So quite often on a Sunday evening, once everything was done, we might go out in the school holidays for a ride out in the car and stop at a pub for something to eat. And I can remember my mum making us sit in the car. She'd run in if she didn't know the pub, check the toilets and come back out, and she would make up her mind to whether we ate there or not. Because her saying was, if they can't look after what you can see, what are they doing behind the scenes where you can't? And talking this over with some colleagues that we all know through a network group that we're part of, they said, well, actually, that is in all business, because if we're not looking after our customers and our visitors and our staff by providing decent facilities, what if you look deeper into business, are they doing with your business? So you are right. We do need to praise like the Loo of the Year awards and celebrate those who are doing it right. But we also need to find a way of talking to people who aren't doing it right. And this is why we offer not just an unannounced inspection. If somebody would like to pay a little bit extra and have a report written, we will actually give them a report to what we find they're doing good and what we think they should improve and how that would improve their grades. And
Yeah.
then hopefully we can get that initiation to get them moving up.
Right, let's talk about Lou of the Year awards because this isn't a flash in the pan thing. It's been around for a while, hasn't it, Becky?
Yeah, we're in our 37th year. So it's had three owners. The gentleman that originally founded Lou of the Year Awards, he worked within making toilets and basins and bathrooms and things. And then that company also then started taking on a sort of facility management side. And it was originally for the councils. And the Lou of the Year Award started as a bit of a competition between the teams of that facility management company to get them to raise their standards. And that's how it worked with the councils. And then obviously things got a bit tougher with the councils. And so it became then commercial as well. So hence we've got all the categories, which include all other types of businesses. But we still are very involved with the councils, and we still have many councils that take part.
And you've taken it on, and I'm very lucky that you've started working with me. Why do you think now is a good time to raise the profile even further?
Well, I think I took over in 2021. We just had COVID, which was quite frightening for everybody. And the one thing that was really hard work was trying to keep toilets open for people if they were working. So at the end of the day, we have a lot of people that are working now, driving vans or lorries, etc., and doing deliveries. And the only way that they can use toilets is either through public toilets or through services, cafes, things like that. And that was hard in 2020. And also, it was hard for businesses to come back from that. So we thought that it would be really good to really bump up now and get people to realize that marketing is the key. And to get footfall through the doors, they need to be able to show that they are providing a standard. So we looked, it's always been a grading system, and it's always been the bronze, silver, gold. Then a few years back, they introduced platinum, and then we introduced a platinum plus. And then we introduced for our 35th year a diamond. A diamond is really, really very top end. But the bronze to platinum plus works very much like the food hygiene 1 to 5. So we're hoping that people will enter, they get a certificate, but they also get a door sticker showing that grade or a window sticker. And they can actually show people that they have been professionally inspected, unannounced, and that they are worthy of that award. And I think that we need to then, as Lou of the Year Awards, push it even more so that that logo is being recognised by many more people, so that those that have entered get that credibility, and those that haven't entered think, well, actually, that's working for them. We need to get on board. And then everybody, hopefully, is getting that better standard.
So, talk to me about what, in your world or the world that I'm stepping into now, bronze is the lowest.
Yeah.
What does a bronze toilet look like?
Well, to me, a bronze toilet would have probably cold running water. It wouldn't be the cleanest and tidiest. It would be quite old-fashioned locking systems, probably pulling handle chains, not best lit, so it's probably not an LED type of light. It's not very eco-friendly. Probably has a bin, but it's not lined or got a lid, and probably doesn't have any type of facility for disposing of sanitary or anything like that. So it's just the basic. Quite often it's what the poor transport boys see in the back of a warehouse.
Mm.
Silver would be a little bit more of a step up. You'd start to see a little bit more of everything it should need. And then when you get to gold, we say gold is about a benchmark for fit for purpose. It has everything you expect to see: door hooks, locks, sanitary, good lighting, tops to put bags down while you're washing your hands, hot running water, plenty of soap, ways of drying your hands, whether that be paper towel or the air blowers. And it should be in some sort of clean and tidy condition that you're happy to use it. So then to go on to get your platinums or platinum pluses, you've got to up your game. Everything's got to be perfect. It's got to be modern. Sensor taps would be good, sensor flushes. You know, it's really got to have upped its game to get the platinum and again the platinum plus. So when we go in there with our clipboards and our 101 criteria, I go in looking at everything's going to be the top. It's all going to be a platinum plus. And then we start marking it down because it hasn't got all the hooks, or it hasn't got decent locks, or it hasn't got enough soap dispensers, or they're empty, or the tissue isn't in a dispenser. Because a lot of places don't like putting their tissue in dispensers, but a lot of germs are actually passed from holding tissue. So when you pull the tissue, if you hold the top of the roll, the next person's going to have those pieces of tissue. So in our guidelines, which are basically worked out with British standards, that we should have certain things in place. And so if we use gold as a sort of benchmark, because it's fit for purpose, but it doesn't have any bells or whistles. By the time you get to platinum plus, you should have all the bells and whistles. By the time you get to diamond, you should be having pictures on the walls, flowers, free sanitary products, music, everything that would make you walk in and go, wow, this is a cloakroom to be seen.
Yeah. And looking at the companies that have entered in 2024, you've had over 1,500. And I was looking through because obviously I'm writing the stories. You didn't have any at bronze, which is a good thing. You had one at silver, many at gold, which as a newbie coming into your world was quite impressive. But 1,500, there's a lot more places that could enter Loo of the Year, isn't there,
Oh,
Becky?
absolutely. We are only touching the tip of the iceberg, or the tip of the tip,
Yeah,
really. Um, I think what happened when the previous owner had it, he wasn't very social media savvy. He probably wouldn't have spent an awful lot of money on PR. And so perhaps it lost its momentum with COVID as well. So we are hoping that since we've taken it over, we're getting it more out there, that it will then become something people want to enter, because they will see the potential from it. And I believe quite a few of the ones that have entered this year that have got diamonds are actually not public toilets, as in there are offices, private offices, and they are getting on board to show their staff that it's just as important to have safe, clean places for them to have their breaks that they naturally need.
yeah. Well, I think that's a good thing.
Mm.
Um, it's a really good thing because you want that confidence. I think menopausal women, women who are pregnant, men who might have bowel issues or something like that, the confidence of knowing you've got decent loos that you can access quickly is couldn't be overstated.
And I think it's just a physical thing they feel. And I mean, you imagine you're sat in an office with a load of people, you're feeling quite anxious for some reason, and you just need to get out of that space for 5 minutes. You might not actually need to use the toilet, but you've got to go somewhere for 5 minutes just to get out of that space, refresh yourself, and go back to that workstation. If you go into a toilet that's got flowers and it's got some basket with deodorant in, and you can just feel you can just put something, have a freshen with some water, dry your face, put some deodorant on. It's a lovely, bright, and clear space. Just that alone will help you go back to that workstation and become productive again.
Mm,
You
mm,
know, my daughter suffers, unfortunately, from irregular periods. So she never knows when they're going to come. So 9 times out of 10, she's got things with her. But sometimes she gets caught out.
mm.
And she said it's so lovely to work at a firm that you know that when you go in that toilet, if that's happened, you don't have to go back to your desk to find your handbag because there's always something there. So again, and she suffers from anxiety, that has stabled her anxiety. And I maybe wonder sometimes whether that's what's caused it to be irregular is because of the anxiety. I don't
Mm.
know,
So
but
much comes from just, if you think about it, from our need to use a loo, which is a basic human need.
yes.
Um, the other thing I wanted to ask you, Becky, is this is a grading system, but you do have a moment of celebration, don't you? Every year.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. When
So,
it'll be sort of the 2025 year, will be in beginning of 2026, won't it?
so it works that we hold the awards in January, and then once the awards are finished, we open then for entries. And then the end of July, entries close. So this year it would have entries closed at the end of 24, July 24. We then go out in teams and do our unannounced inspections. Then come January now 25, we'll be celebrating 24's inspections and gradings. And what we do there is everybody obviously had a grading that entered, but some of those are going to be really high gradings. So we all sit down together as the inspectors. We go through the ones that have got the highest marks, and then there are trophies for different categories. And we look to see who's the highest, and then we nominate them into those categories between ourselves, and the highest marks get obviously eco toilet or whatever in those categories. And then the overall winner will be the person that's got the highest score overall.
Brilliant.
And
And
they,
I've been talking to the couple that run the caravan and camping park, which got that in 2023. Talking to Jill, which has been amazing, and I'm excited because I'm going to be there in 2025 to see who wins that year. So, folks, if you're out there and you run a facility or you run an office and you're really proud of your loos, or you think they're all right, you're not really sure, but you're willing to learn and progress, you know what to do. Enter Loo of the Year Awards. Just go for it. You've got nothing to lose and perhaps loads to gain. So, go for it. But Becky, what I wanted to ask for the consumer, how can they find out that there are great toilets out there? Where can they find out about that?
okay, well, if they visit our website, which is www.loo.co.uk, we have put a map together. And on that map, you can click on an area, or you can actually type in an area that you're visiting, and it will show you who have actually entered their toilets and what gradings they have got. It will also allow you to plan a route. So if you have somebody who struggles that they haven't got long in spaces between needing the toilet, you can plan a route to which areas have toilets that have taken the time to grade, and that I think is quite a good tool, to be fair.
Good, because then it works both ways. It works for the industry and the consumer, doesn't it? To
Oh,
be able to plan.
absolutely. Yeah, well, I mean, the consumer gets a use of a decent toilet, but the business has an encouragement of footfall because it's another form of marketing for them, but it's also a tool for them to shout about what they've got, isn't it? So
Mm. And, I think the overall message as I'm working with you is let's not be so ashamed about toilets. We all need to use them.
absolutely, absolutely. We all seem to be ashamed about anything to do with it, don't we? And it's really, really sad because if you were redoing your bathroom, you'd think of every little thing you needed. So why aren't we doing that when we're doing toilets for everybody else?
Totally. I mean, that's a great note to end on. Becky, thank you so much. Quick reminder, how can people find you, a Plush Flush and Loo of the Year?
Okay, so we're Lou of the Year Awards, Plush Flush. We're on website. We have LinkedIn, we have Facebook, and we have Instagram. So we're on all of them, and they are Lou of the Year Awards, a Plush Flush. There's nothing fancy, so you should be able to find us on all of those platforms.
Thank you very much for watching today. Really hope you've enjoyed this conversation between me and Becky talking all things loos. Do pop onto her website for a Plush Flush and Loo of the Year Awards if you're interested. And don't forget, you can enter Loo of the Year Awards from sort of mid to late January right through to July 2025. If you want to find out anything about me, go to scottmedia.uk or hop onto Facebook and join Fiona Scott's PR tribe. It's totally free. And if you mention this episode, you won't even have to answer the questions. See you soon.